Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Without podcast. Uh, you don't have the context because it costs extra for you. You have to
Unless
pay for it.
let's say it's like at least half the episode and half the episode if you pay us something.
The other half is available if you subscribe to our OnlyFans.
Uh huh.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about the concept of DLC and microtransactions in this and the previous generations of gaming. Um, Technically, a little bit more history. A lot of people, including myself, thought it was really just the PS3 that started it and the Xbox 360. No, apparently it goes
Been happening
back.
for a hot minute.
It goes back almost as far as the Dreamcast, actually. So, some interesting stuff to talk about. Kind of our thoughts on it. Kind of what it means for um, the industry itself and game development as a whole, and why I think a majority of us kind of hate the concept. So, I'm gonna give a
I can
little.
actually speak on the Dreamcast stuff because I had a Dreamcast.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't really say like anything about what it was. Um, it just says the Dreamcast was the first console to feature online support as a standard. DLC was available, though limited in size. And then they don't mention anything else about it on the Wikipedia. So I don't think it was anything really important.
One of the things the Dreamcast had is one of the first. I think it was actually the first game console that you could connect to the internet with through because it had
Yeah.
it had an Ethernet port.
It did, and the
that
generation
costed money.
Yeah, the PlayStation, the PS2 had for the original model the network adapter that you could purchase, which was used for Final Fantasy 11, Resident Evil Outbreak, SOCOM, and a few other games as well.
SOCOM was the title that came out with that was the one that I thought of when I think of online play on the PS2.
Yeah, I think before we talk about the games though, just to kind of give a rundown of what DLC is for anybody who might not be familiar or somebody older watching the video. It is additional content created for a game and released either free or with a price tag. There are a few different styles of it. There you have mostly cosmetic for a lot of online games where you can get ornaments to customize your armor, which is something that I do for Destiny because they do release ornament sets every season that look relatively cool. So I like doing that. There's the bad model of it where it's pay to win for a lot of online games. In terms of microtransactions, not even one-time purchase DLC. You just keep spending money into it. And I was talking to our good friend Victor, that guy Dom from the previous few episodes previous episode that we did, and we talked about the Diablo Immortal stuff that has been going on. Is Alvin crying?
Tired, tears.
I just saw like a huge tear when I mentioned like DLC. So just like
you mentioned Diablo, and I just had to start crying.
You mentioned an Activision Blizzard company. Fair enough.
But that in the last few days has actually kind of made headlines because there were streamers that were dropping, multiple thousands of dollars into the game to try to get, legendary gear, and it wasn't even still giving them that with the odds. So it's just kind of a predatory example of that of, hey, you can get the legendary gear you want, but we're not going to guarantee you that you will get it with a reasonable price tag. And I think the final one, it kind of falls into line of paid DLC that is not cosmetic or, a transaction to further progress in something like a mobile game, but it's the DLC that is already on the disc and just behind a paywall. And it's like, bro, you shipped the game with this on it. It is good to go. Why are you keeping it from us? And those are the ones that I have the most problem. Because it is
Mr.
there.
Krabs, I like money.
Yeah, it's just Mr. Krabs. It's like just the meme of like, why'd you do this thing? Money. It's just
I like money.
I like money. And like that's the one that I hate the most. I hate the one where it's like it is on the disc, it's in the data, it is good to go. And they either paywall it or time gate it for no valid reason. And that was kind of just like the original stuff. I mean, I think when it started, it was kind of acceptable to a degree. You started with PC games, the expansion packs that came out. They were more content for the game, but they usually had, it could usually be its own game in terms of the content that came with it. A lot of stuff like StarCraft. You know, you have StarCraft, and then you have
Brood
War, and it's like a whole other campaign. And then StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, and you know, that all that, there were full campaigns added on to those expansions. So you're technically getting another game.
Yes.
But then you have stuff like Call of Duty where it's like, on at least on the PS3, I haven't played a Call of Duty game in fucking years. But I know with PS3 it was like Black Ops, Modern Warfare, you know, whatever came out. And then 2 months down the line, here's Map Pack 1 with 4 new maps, some guns, whatever. Then a few months later, here's some more maps. But these packs were like $15. And it's like, man, you could have just, you know, kept those in, because the maps are usually recycled maps. So that's when I think things kind of got a little bit more predatory. It's like, hey, here's full content that we could have put in because we already have the files for it, but we're going to nickel and dime you for more stuff. And I know with Alvin, I mean, me and Alvin play Destiny, and to get the Witch Queen, which is just an expansion, it was $40. I mean, was it worth it, that $40? After playing the campaign and everything, I think it was. It was a pretty good experience. But then it's like, here's all the new seasons, and if you didn't buy the deluxe edition, you have to pay for each of the seasons. So it's like, the fuck are you doing, Bungie? I think it was like 40 for just the Witch Queen, and then I think 60 for the Witch Queen and the next 4 seasons.
Yeah,
which is just a full game.
For like $5 each.
And
I think like
so the season passes are $10 each, not including the dungeon key to play the new dungeons.
You had to have the deluxe edition to get a piece of content,
or another $20.
Or another $20.
So
that's the kind of shit though that I think we're getting kind of sick of. It's just like, here, buy this expensive thing straight out, which will save you a little bit of money, but maybe you don't want to play, you don't want to spend $60 and not like it. You could just want to buy the campaign, see how you like it, and that be it. But then I was like, boom, you want to access this one piece of endgame content?
Yeah,
pay me.
It's one of those things where it's like, I got burned out on season passes when Apex first came out, right? Apex originally didn't have a season pass. They released a season pass. Then Call of Duty put out a season pass. Valorant put out a season pass. Destiny's got a season pass now. Like, I'm fucking sick of it.
What's weird is season pass has changed also. Season pass originally with like Call of Duty was like, you get the season pass, which is like $40, and you get the map packs as they come out. Like, you prepaid for the map packs.
Yep,
but now it's like season pass is like, here's a bunch of extra stuff you can get during this season.
But if you don't finish it, you don't get your money's worth. So you have to invest time and money into our game now.
Yeah. And it's just like,
it kind of reminds me of the Magic Arena passes, where you can complete that pass, you just have to keep playing. You keep playing and keep playing and keep playing.
Arena does also, where you have the free route. But then if you want to get your money's worth, you have to buy the battle pass for the season. And the thing is, like, those seasons are only like a month long for Arena.
Yeah.
So it's like
because Magic expansions are coming out virtually every month nowadays.
It's absurd.
So it's about the length of a paper expansion. So like the one they did for New Capenna, they're already doing one for I'm sure Arena's already doing one for Battle for Baldur's Gate, which is the latest set that came out like this week.
Yeah.
I used to be into Magic back in high school, right? My high school days. You guys are older than me. But like, you know, for lack of a better word, back in my day, like like Magic didn't have monthly fucking releases. Every time I look on like Facebook or whatever now, I feel like there's another ad for a new expansion for Magic that's dropping.
What they did, they still have their every 3 months set, But now now with their release, they have their like, here's the story set. But now they're like, oh, here's a reprint stuff for like Secret Lair, or here's like a set that is strictly
like
for
a spin-off.
Here's the set that's like strictly for the modern format, or here's a thing that's strictly for, you know, Commander. And it's like,
wait for that fucking Warhammer set.
It's like, bro, just fucking stop making spin-off products. Like,
you can't even do standard right. I don't trust you to do Commander or modern.
Yeah.
It to me, Wizards of the Coast is kind of like board and like paper, like EA at this point. Like they're just spitting out content for the sake of like, give me your money. Here's more shit. Yeah.
And I was like,
it's not like quality content is the problem.
A lot of it is also just like reprint stuff with like new art. Or it's like, here's something that can only be used in this format, which is like,
and like, I'm a little conflicted because like, yes, pay artists, right? Pay amazing artists what they're worth, and like
Magic
give them
art
the exposure and the money. Like Magic art, 100% great art, but like also like it's kind of scummy. Like I don't need 60 versions of Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, it was.
It's nice to have.
It's hard. It was hard for me to keep playing, you know, paper Magic before all of the pandemic and everything started. It would be like, I'd make my deck, I'd wait 3 months, get a new set, you know, purchase what I need for the new set, play that, wait 3 months, get stuff from a new set. But then it was just like, oh, this is also standard legal, and this is also standard legal. And it's just like, there's a lot of stuff coming out.
I will say, one of the things that I think like is good for Magic, like overall the health, is like reprints. Like reprinting stuff that costs like $1 billion fucking right now.
Reprinting expensive, rarer cards leads to a healthier format.
That's good. But when they're just spitting out product that's new
for the sake of product, like and it's like, these are sometimes limited sets. These are sometimes limited sets too. So if there's like a card, you know, that people are going to be playing and the set, you know, stops being produced, it's just whatever's in circulation, that card value is going to go through the fucking roof. So it's just, that's real world physical downloadable content and microtransactions.
Oh yeah, that's like physical real life. And that's like not even starting to talk about like trading cards started the loot box trend, right? Like that's 100% a fact, right? Like opening a new pack and the percentage of like, maybe I'll get what I'm looking for.
It was EA in Europe during their court hearing in Europe, because I think EA had their loot box like court with the European court and everything. Were loot boxes gambling? Because technically you have a chance of getting something, but it's not a chance that increases as it goes on. You're constantly, you know, gambling.
It's the same odds. It's basically underage gambling.
Yeah, there's no quote unquote bad luck protection that increases the chance each time you open a box and not get something. But I think they use that same argument. They're like, this is no different than, you know, sports cards or trading cards. Like, you're not going to know what you're going to open. But it's just like, but this is way more expensive, and this has a lot of kids doing it. So,
yeah,
and famously, kids going after trading cards, you know.
It's like, that's, I think, my biggest problem with it too, is that it's, kids are going to want the coolest thing. And every season with Fortnite, you know, you have your seasonal skin where it's like, oh, this is the cool one. And sometimes it's the one where it's like, as you, I guess, use it, you know, it looks different as it like levels up or whatever. I know the Kitsune skin or something from many seasons ago did the same thing, where it's like, here's the base, and as you, I guess, do the season pass, it changes to look cooler. And it's like, kids are gonna be like, I want that, you know? And it's like, that stuff shouldn't be behind a paywall. If the kid's going to play your game already, let them earn it.
I will say, the thing I do like about the props I will give to Fortnite is, yes, you have to buy a fucking virtual currency, which sucks. But I do like that. Let me see, Alvin.
Yeah.
Take off. But that's fine.
Nope.
I do like that they are very upfront about, you. If you purchase this, this is what you get, right? It's not opening a loot box. It's not like you doing any of that. You are purchasing something directly from the store, and you get the thing you want. If you want the emote, if you want, the glider, if you want the pack of the the skin and the glider and stuff, it's you can buy that, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, I like the option of, again, cosmetic. If I can go into a game store and it's like, here is the cosmetic for the armor you want to buy, here's an emote you want to buy, and it's not behind a chance of a loot box, it's just there for me to purchase, I have no problem buying that, because that's an active choice. But if it's like, here's what's in these loot boxes, you have a chance of getting these, that's where it's like a little bit rougher. And I mean, Overwatch does that like incredibly bad also, because a lot of times they give you just duplicates and it just turns into the coins. So it's like there's no protecting you from what you already have gotten. And I think a lot of things need to probably start, hopefully just get, the thing is, I know that DLC is never going to go away. Microtransaction is never going to go away. As of 2010, it's 20% of the industry profits.
God, it's probably much more nowadays.
And now it's probably way more. So I think it is just going to be an active part of the industry now. But I think there are healthier ways to do it that don't include a chance aspect, that don't include, I mean, I think it got so bad that EA lost FIFA to another company because it was like, you guys are fucking this up with the boxes.
Yeah, so, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, it's bad. And I mean, I understand a game is going to make a lot of money for the base game, but because of marketing and development, that's really not going to be a profit. It's going to be, the profit's going to come from the continual influx of cash. That's why you have battle passes, you have season passes, you have, with Destiny, every 3 months here's a whole new store, and every few weeks it's like, here's a new event going on in game where we'll bring in some more stuff for that event period. And I mean, I would say it's kind of different when it comes to games like League of Legends, because you can get League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, you can get those characters by playing the game. You don't have to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the buying is the shortcut.
So yeah, and they also have the League of Legends literally has loot boxes, but like you're saying, you can get them through just playing the game a lot.
Yeah.
And you can get key fragments and a whole key just by playing the game, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think if you can get more through actual gameplay, and it's just, here's your, basic stuff for whatever is going on. Like, if I could buy loot boxes in League of Legends with the points I get per game, I'd have no issue getting the loot boxes, because I know that my playtime has earned me those. Not my, credit card has earned me a chance of getting something. You guys are ordering dinner down there, Alvin?
Yeah, we're ordering dinner. Sarah came home, so we're trying to figure out dinner. But I mean, you guys, I mean, it's all good points, right? Like, you can get a lot of really good content free for a lot of games, but then there's like other games, mobile games especially, where like it's literally pay to win. You pay 50, 100, however much money they want you to spend, and you it makes the game easier for you. So Total Biscuit would be rolling in his grave right now.
This isn't even a meme. I've started playing Raid Shadow Legends, and
oh no,
this shop is atrocious. Like, just like everything about the shop, I'm like, I appreciate that they limit you. You can buy a thing for like some summons and all that, but you can only do it once a month. Like, they hard limit you on buying stuff like that, which is a practice. If you're going to do it, I would like to see implemented. Hey, you can only buy this booster once a month. We're not going to let you drop endless cash into this game. It has to come from the developer side of things to also have some control. You know?
I just it's one of those things where it's like, I know the companies aren't going to control themselves because, like, why would they? They make, you know, a metric butt ton of money from it. At this point, it just needs to be regulated as like a law where that's the only way DLC gets stopped. But it makes these companies so much fucking money. It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing I can do is, like, if I really want some of this DLC, sure, I'll pay for it. But I'm doing it through like gritted teeth, you know?
It's I think the concept of loot boxes needs to be regulated because it is gambling. It falls under every like point of gambling laws.
It's fully gambling, yes.
And like I said, I don't mind paying for cool armor if it's just like there that season. But at the same time, I would like the cool stuff to be rewarded for me playing your game. You know, like, hey, I put, 30 hours a week roughly into Destiny 2 every week. And it's just like, oh, I finished the 100 rank season pass, but all that cool stuff is still in the shop. So it's like, cool, I finished what you're going to give me. And now what do I do? So
yeah, I just, like, back when DLC was expansions, right? Like Warcraft 3 expansions, I played the shit out of both Warcraft 3 expansions, and they were worth the money because they were essentially full campaigns.
Yeah.
For what you paid for them, and at the time it wasn't much. I think it was like $15 or $20 for essentially the story of the origin of the Lich King. Like, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, that's one of my tippy top favorite stories in a video game is Warcraft 3, leading to where they take out the original demon at the big tree, sacrifice everything, and then they come back around and it's like, it's time for the Lich King, baby.
Yeah, like that was cool. That was genuine, like, good content. And like,
middle school me was nutting over that.
And like World of Warcraft, their expansions have been high key booty lately, but like, that's all new content, right? Like, that is new storylines, that is new, weapons, armor, cosmetics. Like, it is essentially another game, but you're keeping all the progress that you had before.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I'm willing to pay for an expansion pack if my friends are playing it, I'm playing it, and it's worth the money that I'm going to get out of it. But like, stuff that's like Raid Shadow Legends, like me and my wife, we're playing Dislight right now because that's blown the fuck up. That's like the new Raid Shadow Legends.
I keep seeing those ads.
I keep seeing that one.
And
like,
I bit the fucking bullet on Facebook. Like, I was like, I'm gonna play this game, and I found out she downloaded it like 3 days before me. And so now we're playing it, but it has the same issue where it's like,
here's your summons. Do you want to buy more?
Exactly. It's like, you want to buy power, or do you want to buy fucking stamina just to play the game? Like, at that point, just charge me a fucking subscription fee.
Yeah. I think MMOs have a different kind of relationship when it comes to what could be called DLC, because their DLC is the continuation of the story. And you need to do it if you want to keep playing. And I think that with online games, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, you get your money's worth out of it, because a lot of times it's, a new area, a new level cap, new classes, raids, activities, stuff like that. So you get your money's worth. What I don't like is when certain MMOs are like, here's the game, here's the paid expansion, here's our microtransaction shop, where it's like, here's your XP boosts. Here's your, all that other stuff. It's like anything that has like an XP boost behind a paywall is stuff that I can't agree with, because it's just pay to win at that point. It's like, hey, I'm going to pay to get an advantage over somebody just playing, the game. And it's with mobile games, I feel like mobile games are just, you innately have to have microtransactions, because like Dislight and Raid, it's like, here's your energy. You can only do so much as what your energy has.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your, gem production to like buy stuff in the shop. Do you want to buy more gems to just speed up the process?
I think an unintended, I mean, I don't know if it was intended, but it feels like an unintended consequence of DLC is the lack of mods and like user generated material, because like, a lot of people will see, especially like stuff like GTA, where you have the option for user generated stuff, but unless it has like that Rockstar like
approval
badge or the check or whatever, like the verification, it's like people don't want to play it because it's, I mean, I get it. It can be kind of sketchy, but
it's usually sketchy.
Yeah. But like a lot of the greatest stuff came from user generated material and mods and stuff like that. Like, for God's sake, League of Legends is a version of Dota, which was a mod of Warcraft. Like it's the biggest, one of the biggest esports, in modern time, and it became that because of a mod. So I don't know. It sucks because like mods are good, right? Like PC, like fucking Counter-Strike is a mod of Half-Life 2. Like that's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. Two of the biggest games in the world right now are like the Wish.com knockoffs of other games.
Exactly. And it sucks because
it's all about marketing.
We just don't have that kind of support anymore, because it's like movies, right? Everything's just kind of a sequel, or everything's like a remake of an old thing. Like Valorant is just Counter-Strike with anime characters and powers. Overwatch is a Team Fortress 2 like knockoff. So it sucks because we don't have sort of that originality that like comes from the community coming together and making something. It's just whatever the company just has another monopoly on something else now.
Yeah. It's and it's funny because it's like you say that everything's like a remake or a reboot, and I'm just thinking like Dead Space 3 was bad because of the constant microtransactions for supplies to like craft your stuff. And now they're just remaking Dead Space 1. Because they're like, we need to reboot the game franchise. And it's just like, we killed this franchise and now we need to reboot it.
And like, even then that's like conflicting, right? Because like there are good games that are old that deserve a remake, especially to be brought up into modern times, right? Like there's no doubt about it. Like Resident Evil games, Silent Hill games, like I mean, a lot of these games deserve like a facelift.
To put it simply, Resident Evil 4 is a good game on its own. It's campy. It has modern controls. A lot of modern controls came from Resident Evil 4 when it comes to third-person shooters. Even their 2 and 3 remake use basically the Resident Evil 4 system. And now they're like, we're going to remake Resident Evil. We're going
180 aim.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to remake Resident Evil 4. And I'm like, no, just make it the same game, just improve the graphics. You don't need to improve the gameplay of 4.
Like at best, it really should be graphics and quality of life stuff, right? Like with the Spyro trilogy.
From the last episode, Mass Effect 1, they gave it Mass Effect 2's combat system.
It's perfect. Like, that's all you need to do, because like Spyro kept the same fucking game, but they put it in a new system, and they just made it exactly the same with better controls, better camera controls, and better graphics. Like it was good.
And Crash Bandicoot. Like for the brief series that me and my friends played it on my channel, it's Crash Bandicoot. It just looks better.
Like, and like that's how things should be. But then like they'll do something fucking crazy where they'll like release they'll reboot a game and be like, here's our version of the game that you love so much, but we ruined it. And then we're going to put a DLC pack that's like what it should have been for this game that we ruined. And then you're just like, and why didn't you just do this the first time?
You know what the biggest slap in the face is? Duke Nukem Forever came out and was bad.
Stop.
It was a bad it was a bad game. And instead of improving it, they released the one DLC pack, which was a whole separate campaign, which was better than Duke Nukem Forever, and it was actually like playable. And it's just like, this is the last fucking like thing you're ever going to release for this fucking character. You're going to slap us in the face with this, and then the paid DLC is actually going to be the better game.
To be fair, for Duke Nukem, that thing was in like development hell for God knows how long. And like the jokes that were in the original Duke Nukem, they don't fly now. And that's what they were trying to do, to take those same jokes and just like put them in a modern age. So they're more than just the, bad game DLC fixes problem type thing for Duke Nukem, but that didn't help.
Yeah,
there is another trend that's coming up as we're talking about microtransactions, and this kind of borders between microtransaction and like shitty business practice. But there are a bunch of different games that also, while you're playing it, you're mining someone's NFTs.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And those are nasty. I'm gonna say it here, and just I'm not speaking for these two, but I feel like they share my opinion. Fuck your NFTs. They're stupid, bad for the environment. Even the ones that are like good for the environment are still bad for the environment. It is an excess charge that you didn't have to do.
NFT gaming strikes me as everything that has happened in Yu-Gi-Oh, the anime. I own this single card that's in existence. I own the only copy of this. It's like, if you put it into like Yu-Gi-Oh terms, it's like, I own the only copy of this card. And it's like, you put that into a game and it's like, oh, this rich guy's playing this game and he just has all the better stuff than I do because he bought it.
Our games on motorcycles.
Hey, that was a good series. Don't you slander 5Ds like that.
I'm not going to slander Yu-Gi-Oh because Bandicoot in the Japanese version went really hard over a kid's card game. He pointed a gun at Pegasus. So,
he was American.
Hey man, be the American the Japanese think you are. So
point a gun at someone who does you wrong.
It's just like, there's also just a side tangent. There's also the gif of Kaiba throwing the card into the fucking hammer of a pistol to stop the gun from firing at him. And I'm like, this show is fucking ridiculous.
But only in the Japanese version, because the 4Kids version edited out all the guns. And so there's that one scene where there's a bunch of security guys are like this.
I remember that.
I know we moved on to like reboots and stuff like that, and I know that doesn't really fall into the microtransaction DLC side of things, but I guess the principle still applies, because it's like, hey, here's this game you might already own, but here's a better version of it that's up to date. And it's just like, can't you just throw the file into something? Like, why are you remaking Last of Us? That's a last gen game.
Yeah.
Like,
I think, who did it right? When they released the remasters for BioShock 1 and 2, that was, if you owned the game up until a certain time,
you got the upgrade.
It was free. It was free.
Yeah.
You got it. And it looked fantastic. It made me play the games again. And it was worth it. Like that's how you reward a player base that you cultivated,
It falls into the Resident Evil line of things where their remakes have actually improved the previous games. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, they've kept the basic plot, they've kept the characters and all that, but they've modified it. Like the underground lab section in 3 is completely different from the original version. Like, it's actually way more of a factor than what the original 3 was.
Just say it. I watched people play 2, and from what I saw, it It was the same game, but it was just significantly more fleshed out. And I'm assuming it's the same for 3.
Yeah, they took Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Flesh, zombie.
They took 2 and 3 and they basically were like, all right, here's the general idea. We've had about 20 years. We can improve this plot. So, and they did. They made a new game, a new engine, kept the same general storyline. I mean, modified, the police station layout, modified the systems and everything in the game, and it led to a better experience. Not really sure how to tie that back into DLC, but I'm gonna try.
I mean, like, I feel like if you're gonna put out a DLC, it needs to improve what you have.
Yes,
already.
It needs to add. It needs to actually be a addition of consequence. If it's not like, hey, don't give me this game and then throw, a bunch of gun skins my way, or a bunch of guns behind a paywall, or some multiplayer maps behind a paywall, because that's just annoying. It's like, so I can't play with everybody online if I don't own these maps. Like, you're just gonna limit us to poor people and rich people.
Basically,
but if a game,
classism inside a video game.
But if a game comes out and it's like, again with Dead Space 3, you had your full game, and then it was like, hey, here's a few months down the line, here's a expansion that's a whole set of new chapters for a big finale, and it actually has the length of like a decent expansion game, rather than just, here's a new area for you to explore in the main game. Here's an actual like pre-game storyline. If you add to the experience overall, like what was it, Last of Us had the DLC that focused on Ellie's story, and everything, so it's like, hey, that gave me more game to play.
I think that's some DLC that I'm completely okay with, where it's like, maybe it's the within the same game, same universe type thing, but it's like the story told from another character that you interact with in the original game. I think that if it's, well done and it's like of good length, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth paying I'd pay anywhere from $15 to $40 for a good DLC for a different character to play as.
Yeah, and Mass Effect also did that for Mass Effect 2, where it's like, here's a expansion that gives you a whole new like set of missions to do, but we're also gonna give you a new crewmate. And they do that twice. And then it's like, oh, here's a bunch of expansions that are just like a long like mission chain for like a whole new like sub story through the main campaign. So it's like the Mass Effect one was like, hey, here's all in-game like storylines for you. Here's new crew members and stuff like that. So I felt like that was DLC that I had no problem buying. But playing Call of Duty back on, PS3, where it's like, oh, it's been 2 months, here's $15 for 4 maps. Like
4 maps and a gun skin. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's like, here's 4 maps and here's a few maps that have already existed, just kind of reskinned. So it's like, why the fuck?
There's only so many ways you can
am I paying for
reskin.
Why am I paying for Nuketown in every Call of Duty? Activision. It's like,
yeah, why am I paying for the same version of fucking Nuketown?
Why
am I paying for Rust?
Here's
for
where
like
it gets
7 games.
Here's where it gets fucked up, because it's like Nuketown came out for Black Ops, I believe it was, and then it was like, if you pre-order Black Ops 2, you get it as a pre-order bonus. But then Black Ops 3, it's like, here's Nuketown in like the first map pack. And I'm like, it was in the base game. And then it was a pre-order.
It was in the base game.
It was in the base game for the first one. Then it was a pre-order bonus, where if you didn't pre-order the game, you didn't get it. And then it was like, here, you have to purchase it now. It's like, the fuck are you guys doing?
What's worse is like when they release like Nuketown, right? They're like, here's Nuketown, buy this pack. And then in the next pack, they're like, here's Nuketown, but it's Nuketown 2032.
Yeah, here's Nuketown with a different aesthetic.
Same fucking map.
Nuketown with another coat of paint.
It's just
That's
like,
what drives me fucking nuts.
It's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, why the fuck are you guys doing this? Now, another thing that I will appreciate from games that do DLC, especially with games like Destiny. Destiny 1, the last expansion that they released before going to Destiny 2 was the Rise of Iron. When that released, they released Destiny the Collection, which for $60 you got the base game and every expansion including Rise of Iron, just as a full set. So if you're coming late to the party, you get rewarded, where you pay for what the people paid originally and you get the whole thing. But at the same time, I'm like, paid 20 fucking bucks for each of these expansions and then 40 for the last two. So I paid $180 for your fucking D1 content.
Is Destiny 2 on a monthly sub?
No,
it's not. It's actually technically free to play. But
it's free to play,
just
but
like,
Free
your seasonal
to play
content,
asterisk. Got it.
you get your basic stuff, and all your seasonal content is locked behind the season $10 charge, and then the big campaign is behind the big campaign purchase. I think you get like access to the basic strikes. You get like basic access to the Crucible, which is the PvP mode. And you don't get a lot. You really don't. And you also, I think, have to have the season pass to get the increased level cap for your light level. So it's like you can only get so far just playing free to play.
Right.
But it's like, man, I pay for D1, paid $180 because it's 60 for the base game, and then 20 for the first two expansions a piece, and then 40 for Taken King and Rise of Iron. And it's like, if I would have come to the game late, I'd have to pay only $60. And now with Destiny 2, the same thing is like, I paid for the base game, I paid for $40 for the last 3 big expansions. So it's just like, Jesus Christ, this game, just to keep playing this is a fucking like punch in the dick every year.
It sounds like it.
The big expansions every year. So between $40 purchases, you're paying $40 for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, you know what? I'm invested, Bungie, whatever. Like,
I think it's gotten to that point where it's just like, yeah, fuck it. I've already invested X amount of money. Might as well, like, what's another X amount of money?
Classic gambler's fallacy.
Sunk cost fallacy.
There it is.
To be fair, though, Destiny has never gotten anything as bad as horse armor for downloadable content. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
fucking
it's
horse
like,
armor.
I think when it comes to online games, though, you kind of have to pick your poison. Because I could be paying $40 every year for Destiny, or I could be paying, a monthly subscription for WoW, or I could be paying a monthly subscription for Final Fantasy 14, which I did enjoy for the time that I played it, but I just haven't bothered to get back on it. So
those games that you're describing also have the audacity to still have microtransactions along with their monthly sub.
So I know with because I know with Final Fantasy 14, it's strictly cosmetic stuff. It's mounts, it's costumes, it's changing your race kind of thing. It's your basic acceptable microtransactions. But I think with like WoW, you have your your boost to max or something for like WoW.
Yeah, have your boost to 90 or whatever.
Yeah, you can boost to max, but like the equipment you get isn't good by any means.
No, it's not.
So like you still have to grind. It just makes that like you get a little bit more worth out of your like.
You get to the grinding faster.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get right into grinding for end game content.
And I think how much is a monthly subscription for WoW?
$15.
I'm saving money playing Destiny each year.
Yeah,
basically. Like when I'm talking about, it's like
I'm saying much.
I'm paying $80 a year for Destiny content, and that's still cheaper than $15 for 12 months worth of World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
that's not the flex you think it is, buddy.
It's not. I'm the dumbass that has dropped $1,500 on WoW. So,
I want to stir the pot just a little bit because this brings in like a whole different genre of like bullshittery that companies like to do.
Yeah.
What's that?
Nintendo.
Oh, here we go. Yep, like it already.
Nintendo putting out old games.
Oh yeah, the NES games
on the Switch, but then shutting down people who want to make emulators.
Yeah, and also shutting down the service, so you can't buy more of them after a certain point of time.
And then like having the audacity to not put out like more of old games that they absolutely could. They have more money than fucking God. So like if they wanted to reprint, 1,000 copies of NES cartridges of TMNT, like they absolutely could, like
give me digital Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time, and I will.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like, I will buy a Switch to play it because I play it on emulators. So,
it's the sheer audacity, right? Where it's like
we have all these classic games, and we just don't want people to have them.
The thing that sticks in my craw the most about those is they play much better on the fucking emulator than they do on the Switch.
Yep,
they do.
Yeah, and it's like Nintendo. You developed this game. This is your game. This is your new gen system that you have all the specs, all the fucking secrets to, and then you made the software that's going in it. Why does it suck?
What's the thing? It's like, yes, this system does run the emulator at half the speed of a Sega Genesis. So
yeah, and like I get it, right? A lot of the old games have like frame rate bugs, right? Like because they only play it at a certain frame rate. So I get it, right? You gotta lock frame rates for certain games.
24 frame rates, I think it was.
It's 24 frames a second. Some
it's some like weird 30. It's like 20. It's like a weird 20, I think.
Yeah, but like I get it, right? So sometimes you got to give up a little bit of something. But like, for God's sake, you have the original cartridge that it was prototyped on. You have the software. You can make the hardware you need to make this good.
Yeah, I think this I think this ties into digital only games being another form of like DLC in its own way. It's not content for a game, but it is a digital it is a digital purchase. And after a certain amount of time, if you lose, your account or the service goes down, you don't have them anymore, which is an issue.
Wait for the day Steam goes offline.
I am dreading the day that Steam goes offline because that is literally just where all of my games are.
That's like $6,000 down the drain for me.
Yeah, it's just like, what do we do? Like if somebody wants to put out a PC game, they can put it on different marketplaces if those marketplaces let them. Because I know with like Epic, they have to approve your game first. So you don't get the Steam issue where somebody can just throw up whatever BS they crafted in, Unity for the last 2 hours.
I'm looking at you, all hentai visual novels.
It's all the same company too. Like it's the same general art style. So I know it's the same company.
It's the Chuck Tingle of H games. It
is the Chuck Tingle. Whoever is making RPG Maker hentai games is the Chuck Tingle of Steam. But like
they don't have the class of Chuck Tingle.
The thing is like the thing is you're right, there are so many classic games that are just forgotten because people don't want to put an effort to at least release a digital copy of it. Like, hey, you should have the files. You can put out a digital copy and modders and the modding scene will fix the bugs. Like that's what they do. I mean, Skyrim.
That's been happening in Skyrim.
Skyrim
and
is
all these other games.
Skyrim is functional because of the modding community.
Fallout
New Vegas was another one.
But that's the games.
After Fallout New Vegas.
That's the games. Yeah.
But like, I have a game on PS2 because I have my PS2. I can only play a bunch of PS2 games because I have to get it on PS2 because there's no digital version of it. Right. So I have a game called Dark Watch on PS2, which is one of my favorite games growing up. It's like a Western vampire game with a first-person shooter. And
this tracks.
And I'm like, cool. So I've looked. I was like, hey, did they release a digital copy of this? Because I never thought about it. Once I got rid of my PS2, I stopped thinking about those kind of games. No, but there is a PS2 emulator with the ROM for it. But then I'm looking through like the bug list and everything where it's like, if you're not running it at this game speed, there's a chance that the game will freeze after this load screen. Like this particular load screen will like freeze the game and cause it to crash. And I'm like, if that's an issue, just release it and somebody will fix it. It's like, if you're looking at all your old PS1, PS2 games, Sony, and you're trying to wonder why are they not on the digital shop, it's because, oh, they don't work. Then just put out the source code. Let somebody fix it.
Let someone fix it. Yeah.
You don't even have to pay them. If you put out that's what Doom did. Doom put out their source code in like 2004, where it's like, hey, here's just all the code for Doom. And that's when you got people who made like the launcher where you can launch like Doom-ish games from your PC, like in whatever scale, whatever resolution you want, and however you want to run it, because it's like, oh, we know how to work the code now, so we can run it our way. But it's just like
money, Sharky. They want their money.
They want money. And it's just like, I don't mind buying digital games as long as it's a digital game that I want. You know, it's like, hey, if you put Dark Watch onto the PlayStation Store, I'll buy it. But you have to also promise me that you're going to keep the service up and running so I can play it. And I think that's why DLC, I think that's why I hate the general concept of it, is because if a service goes down, it's just gone. Like, I don't have anything to show for it. You know, like, I could buy all these gun skins, I could buy all these expansion packs, but when the server gets shut down, it's just gone. You know, and it's like, then what was the point of me paying you to, it's like, if you're saying like the payments go to like server costs, then this game should stay running. You guys have all the money in the world. Like,
God forbid League of Legends 2 gets made. We're all fucked. All three of us.
League of Legends 2. I email Riot. Hey, you guys are going to shut down the League of Legends 1 server. Can I get my $1,500 back? So,
in my hand.
Yeah, I want it. I want it.
What's the what's that fantasy picture? Like,
Yeah.
It's the painting, just the government whenever I get paid.
Yeah, whenever.
But we kind of covered a lot on it, and I think my final thoughts about it is just, if you're going to make a game and you know that you're going to have a lot of cosmetic aspects that people can buy, like you're planning to put it into a shop that people can buy, I would prefer it if you just, especially if the game doesn't have like a real online component to it, just let it be rewarded by playing your game. Do challenges like, hey, do this and you'll unlock, you know, this. Like, a lot of games, even PS3 games, used to do that. I think with like, again, with Black Ops, to get certain camo, you had to like get a certain number of kills with a weapon. Yep. And then it's like, to unlock this scope, you had to get, it's like you can get this like reticle if you get enough kills with this scope on.
That started in Modern Warfare 2, I believe, and that's why everyone loves Modern Warfare 2.
And I mean, it did in Black Ops. Black Ops gave me my favorite reticle, which was the 3-dot like Predator.
Oh,
sight.
Yeah, I use that one a lot.
But like, I played the shit out of Black Ops because I was like, hey, I can use this weapon. I'll grind out this weapon all day. I'll unlock stuff for it. I feel like I'm accomplishing something. I don't feel like I'm accomplishing something when I put in a credit card number. And it's like, here's your cyberpunk skin. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Man, make that like get 10 head, like, you know, get like the winning headshot with like a shotgun at the end of the game to unlock this skin. Like, it's like, make me try to accomplish something, you know? Like, it's
I think, yeah, like same as you, kind of like closing thoughts. It's like, if you're gonna make people pay, like, you shouldn't be making people pay for shit when they've already bought your game. First of all,
yeah, if I'm going to pay full price for your game, it should have all the full price shit included. If you're going to plan to make money off of players after the game is released, it doesn't need to be sold for $60. Like, get more people to buy your game for making it cheaper, and then you may get a bigger return on your cosmetic store.
Just invest in your player base. That's basically what we're saying. Just invest in your player base, and when you put out your next game, people are gonna buy it if they like it. That's just how it works, right? Like, you don't need to make all your money. That's supposed to be
how the free market works. Yeah,
you're not supposed to make all your money up front. You're supposed to be investing in your company, yourself, your content, and the people that support you. I
like money.
Like I always said about the PS2 game, just make a good fucking game.
Yeah.
Like that's all you
simply make a better
again,
game.
that's all you had to do with PS2 is you just had to make a good game because you weren't going to have a shop or anything like that. You're going to have, sometimes secret unlocks by doing stuff, like stuff built into the game. But then it's like internet came out, and then it's like the idea of just make a good game happens, but it happens less. Like you compare a PS3 generation to a PS2 generation, there aren't as many like memorable game franchises because it's just like, oh, this was just put out to be an online game, microtransaction farming for the company while we develop something else. It's just kind of upsetting.
Thanks a lot,
Kind
EA.
And it's EA and Activision, and I really hope both
100%.
of them. I really hope both of them fall at some point in time. I feel like they're too big to fall, though. Like,
it will be a spectacular spectacle to watch them fail miserably.
Yep.
Yeah, it's absurd.
We're all angry about gaming.
We hate. I hate this hobby.
I hate this hobby.
Once I finish this podcast recording, I'm gonna jump onto Destiny 2 and keep playing anyway. So
coward.
But it's just like I was looking at and like that's the thing, I'm looking at just guys like that's not even covering Madden or FIFA or Ultimate Team, where it's like, hey,
in the 2K
in this game of loot boxes, we're also adding trading card aspects to things.
We didn't even touch that.
Yeah.
So I think one of the games that I play on my phone that I actually like is something I kept getting cursed ads for a long period of time. Those of you who have me on Facebook know that I get a lot of weird ads.
Yeah.
On my feed specifically. And it's like it's a little merge game. It's one of those games where you just combine two different things and it builds into something.
Mm-hmm.
And that game has a system where you can purchase gems for X amount of money, however much you want. But also you can just naturally gain gems over the course of like gameplay. And gems you can use to purchase something straight off instead of like building up to it. You can just purchase it straight off and be like, all right, here it is. I have this. And it'll help you build up to the next thing that you're trying to build. And I think that's a healthy way of doing microtransactions because it's technically a pay to win, but it's also just optional. And I can amass an amount of gems without having to pay money. I can amass just a bunch of gems anyway. I don't have to pay money.
It's like that.
It's just, do I want to do it now or do I want to just build up to it?
It's like that with the raid. You can get like the higher tier summons by doing stuff in game, like certain challenges, but like they're not something that you get, over time. I don't just log on and get like the level 4 summon. It's something like, hey, you can buy this bundle and it comes with like 1 or 2, but you can't just like do all this stuff. Like, so I'm getting just these lower tier ones regularly, just like periodically for logging on, but I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get the best stuff unless I put money into this game, which doesn't feel like I'm winning and I'm shadow legending. So, and also dislike ads. I'm just going to get on that for a second. There's a weird one that keeps popping up for me, and that's like some Korean girl working out in a gym.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's like some Korean girl on like one of the like walking machines, but it's like an ad for dislike, and I'm like, what the fuck is this game? Like, so it's just ads are weird. Like, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. This has just been kind of an hour of just 3 guys yelling at big game companies to stop screwing us over. Just make full complete games. And let me buy like shiny stuff if I want to, but don't make me have to buy stuff to get the full experience.
Agreed.
Agreed, yeah.
But it's like, also, if something comes out like a year after the game launches, like I know Borderlands does that, where it's like, here's a whole thing and a new character. I'm cool with pitching out a few bucks for that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, here's the maps that were included in the previous Call of Duties. Give me $15. It's like,
Here's old content in a new game.
It's just
Give me money.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm going to because I want to be able to play with everybody. But
that's what they're preying on. That's the predatory practices. They're preying on your FOMO
because they know you're going to. It's the fear of missing out, and Bungie for Destiny's done a good job of getting rid of that because originally the seasons would be for 3 months, and at the end of that 3 months they'd go away. And then the new season would start. But starting with last year's big expansion, Beyond Light, they were like, hey, here's the first season. And when that ends, the timed stuff goes away. But the general season activity sticks around until the next big expansion comes out. So you get a whole year's worth of activities just kind of lingering around to do everything you want to do. And then when the new big expansion comes out, then you lose all of them. So like, hey, we're trying to get rid of the fear of missing out. So I can kind of give them a shout out for that. They've done a really, really good job improving that. Where, hey, you have more time now to just do stuff rather than having to rush through it for 3 months.
Basically, the best thing to happen to Bungie and Destiny 2
was leaving Activision.
So
Bungie looked at Activision, was like, and then did the fade out. And that was also way I think like a year before everything with Bungie and Activision started coming out. So. Or Blizzard and Activision started coming out, so I think Bungie's like, we're just going to get out of here. So.
Yeah. And I mean, Destiny 2 does reward its player base. Like, Destiny 2 has some of the most dedicated players I've ever seen.
Yeah, like, every week we find something new to bitch about when we keep playing the game.
So. Yeah, and it's like not something that's super crazy to bitch about, right? It's like your usual
there's
like
bugs. There's
bullshit.
Bugs.
Yeah.
I think that's another issue. It's like when you pay for something and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know with Bungie, they put out new stuff. They change the game each week to kind of progress that season story. But it's just like with one of their PvP stuff, one of the PvP activities last week, it was like, hey, when you hit a certain amount of boosts for your reputation rank, like increases, it actually started giving you the base amount because something in the math was fucking up.
It's like rolling over.
Yeah, it's like if you go over a certain thing, you would only get the base value rather than the increased value.
It's like the Gandhi's peace level in Civilization.
Oh yes,
God.
Where Gandhi will launch nuclear war against you. So, which is a bug that they somehow have kept in.
At this point, it's just a meme. Yeah,
it's just a meme. But
I guess my final thing is PC gaming is just microtransactions, isn't it? Like, we're gonna lose these games eventually one day.
100%. And Total Biscuit would be disappointed in us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, computers have stopped having disk drives and stuff like that, so I can't even get like a physical copy to put in. It's just
you can buy a CD drive.
Steam,
but
they're not expensive.
Come on the discs.
If I buy a game on Steam that does not need an internet connection to play it, Dead Space 1, if I can just log in, if I can just start up Dead Space 1 and play it, because there's no multiplayer aspect to that game at all, it is just a game. Steam should let me play it if Steam is not active. I know you can set it up in the settings, but that's like,
and I have
to go through all that work to do it also. You know, it's like, hey, it should just be a feature built in. Just a checkbox. Does this game need an internet connection? No. And then if something in the launcher is like, you can launch it without Steam running. So, but I know one of these days Steam's going to shut down or lose all the power. You know, server's going to go down. I'm going to be like, I can't PC game right now. It did happen, and for those for that week, I was pissed off because I had stuff that I had to record. So
not just for Steam, but for like the PlayStation Network went down several times during the PS3, PS4, and even recently in the PS5 era.
Yeah, I just have not had any desire to get a PS5, but that's a whole different topic. So, anybody have anything left to say about?
Fuck you, EA.
That's cool.
There we go.
Games. Just stop cutting up games. That's just stop cutting up your games.
Stay tuned next week when we talk about shady business practices in gaming. We'll just have EA flashing on the screen the whole time.
It's literally going to be EA, Activision, Blizzard. Like, back and forth. It's going to be a
EA,
strobe warning
Activision
the
Blizzard
entire
Riot.
the entire video.
You know what's the
strobe
most?
Warning.
So one last thing I want to know. You want to know what the most bullshit sentences in this entire Wikipedia page I'm reading about for DLC?
Oh no.
So right after the sentence of DLC makes up 20% of video game sales as of 2010, the sentence as follows: developers are beginning to use the sale of DLC for an already successful game series to fund the development of new IPs. And I'm like, that is the biggest load of horseshit I've ever heard in my life.
That's
they are using the funds from DLC to make a new DLC.
I have feelings about that, especially as a Titanfall X Apex player. So we're not going to talk about that. This could go on for another hour.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Titanfall remake.
Oh God. We're gonna cut that here.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you, for watching. It's good to have Alvin back. You know, jump in every now and again.
Yeah, because Haley was sick. We hope that she feels better. But we got Alvin. Alvin was here. He was ready to go, but I think he's trying to get dinner now. So.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for it to get here. It's all right.
That's
look.
Fair.
We traded one newly married person for a different married person.
That's fair.
They're not married to each other.
No.
Just want to put that out. Just want to put that out there.
I'm married to a different white blonde girl.
I saw Sarah like go through in the background. I just saw a shock of purple.
Oh, I forgot. You guys haven't seen it. Yeah, it's just purple.
Yeah.
But so if you like what we're doing here, want to support us, the best way to support us is to like our videos, subscribe to our channels, follow us on our social medias. We'll have the flow code down below in the description.
Always have it in the description.
Always in the description. And if you want to reach out to us on our socials or on these videos, we're probably around. Some of us have time to waste to get connect with the community.
Speaking of
the internet.
Speaking of connecting with us through the comments, during that episode I did get a notification for a new comment on our Star Wars video, and it is Wiffles, and she's asking Space Strahd. So
yes. Thrawn is Space Strahd. She actually DM'd me during the episode to say the same thing. So I'm immediately dating this.
Y'all just had to say that.
Yeah, you missed that episode. You missed that episode. Thrawn is just Space Strahd, and Wiffles has communicated with that, so we'll be replying to her, and we can reply to you guys if you guys go into the comments. But
yeah,
as always, Without Context podcast, Decavolty, SharkyHat, Skyebreaker, aka Alvin. It is a 5-person team. It's nice to have the other person show up every now and then.
Sorry. Yeah. It's my mental illness.
It's the medication. That's why you're here today. Like it, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll talk to you guys, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.